What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video. We keep getting class tuning and changes in Season of Discovery. It seems like every 2 days we're getting updates to some classes, and today we got wind of some pretty big changes coming. So without further ado, let's dive in. So today, guys, Blizzard has announced upcoming Season of Discovery class tuning coming with the weekly reset for next week on March 5th. With Phase 2 well underway, we are seeing buffs across the board. Most notable in perhaps the buffs to the few Hunter range spells. Chimera Shot and Explosive Shot both saw damage increases. The current balance of ranged versus melee Hunters has been a hot topic in Phase 2, and this marks a step toward bringing ranged more in line. Healing Mages also saw some adjustments to Mass Regeneration and Chronostatic Preservation, in an effort to switch gearing choices away from items with increased damage and healing and towards increased healing only. For DPS mages, both Frostfire Bolt and Spell Frostbolt are getting damage buffs. In addition to that, we'll be seeing simple buffs to rune abilities for Paladins, Warlocks, and Warriors. You can find all the changes below, so let's get into reading this blue post. As players continue to level up to 40 and experience all that Phase 2 has to offer, we've closely monitored in-game progress, feedback from the community, and bug reports. With scheduled weekly maintenance next week, we'll make the following adjustments to some classes that are underperforming. For Hunters, Chimera Shot's damage will be increased to 120% weapon damage, up from 100%, and Chimera Serpent Sting damage increased to 48% of Serpent Sting damage, up from 40%. Explosive Shot's base damage done before attack power has been increased by 15%, and Carve's damage increased to 65% of weapon damage instead of 50%. As for our mages out there, Frostfire Bolt base damage increased by 50%, and its increased damage from bonus spell damage has been increased by 16%, identical to the value of Fireball. Spell Frostbolt's base damage increased by 50% as well, and its increased damage from bonus spell damage increased by 14%, identical to the value for Frostbolt. Regeneration, Mass Regeneration, and Chronostatic Preservation spell power coefficients increased by 88%, with some developer notes stating this is to compensate for mage healers wearing primarily items which grant damage and healing instead of just healing. Chronostatic Preservation's mana cost was also reduced by 44%, and we resolved some tooltip issues with Chronostatic Preservation. Moving on to Paladins, we have Seal of Martyrdom's damage increased to 50% weapon damage per swing, up from 40%, and Seal of Martyrdom's Judgment increased to 85% weapon damage, up from 70%. Seal of Martyrdom's Seal and Judgment effects now benefit from talents and effects that modify Seal of Righteousness, particularly Improved Seal of Righteousness, which means that speccing into Improved Seal of Righteousness will now give you an extra 15% damage from Seal of Martyrdom. For Warlocks, we've seen Grimoire of Synergy now increases damage done by the Warlock and their pet by 25% when it is active, up from 5%. And for Warriors, Devastate's damage has been increased to 150% of weapon DPS, up from 100, before being increased by number of Sunder armor stacks. So lots of good changes coming next week, guys. No nerfs here whatsoever. These are all buffs, which is really interesting. It seems like Blizzard is kind of trying to find that balance here and get these classes all up to par. And I'm really happy to see some buffs to ranged Hunter. I don't personally play Hunter, but to me, it kind of kills the class fantasy of playing a Hunter when you're forced to play melee as your top DPS. So I'm really interested to see how these changes will affect Hunter, and the mage buffs, a little interesting to me because mages have been pumping pretty hard. It doesn't seem like they've needed buffs, but interesting to see Frostfire Bolt and Spell Frostbolt get those buffs. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/hammerdance if you want to hang out with me live. If you want to join an awesome Discord community full of like-minded people who all enjoy geeking out over Season of Discovery, we will welcome you with open arms. Link to the Discord in the description as well. But anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching and listening in. I'll see you all in the next one.